Hey, it is day 20 of my hypersomnia video diary, and today I thought I would actually just really go into Adderall and what the effects are. What is the what are the general like reported effects of Adderall, and then what do I feel in terms of its effects on me, both positive and negative, for treating hypersomnia. So, just a bit of background info, really quick. Adderall first appeared as a medication that could be prescribed for narcolepsy as well as ADD and ADHD in 2002. It differs from other amphetamine-based treatments, specifically Dexedrine or dextroamphetamine, because Adderall is 75% dextroamphetamine and 25% levoamphetamine, which is its exact duplicate, but on the left-hand side. It's kind of hard to explain that because I'm not a chemist, but basically the same thing, but levoamphetamine acts differently upon the body. It's less cerebral affecting and more body affecting. So you get increased heart rate and vascular constriction and things like that. But it has a longer duration than dextroamphetamine, and that's I think part of the reason why they mix it together to form Adderall. So, and then again, just a little bit more background. Adderall works by increasing the activity of neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters norepinephrine and dopamine in the brain. It also increases the production of serotonin and a few other things as well. But those are the two biggest ones are norepinephrine and dopamine. So norepinephrine and dopamine both stimulating energy and things like that, wakefulness, alertness, excitement, positive, engaging moods. Dextroamphetamine by nature is a more potent CNS stimulant than levoamphetamine, but levoamphetamine has, like I mentioned before, slightly stronger cardiovascular effects. Is it lasts longer, so it improves the duration of the dextroamphetamine part of the pill. If you would like to, and I recommend checking out my video, Dexedrine versus Adderall. I had been prescribed both in the past, and ultimately, well, I won't give the secret away, but I'm on Adderall now. You'll have to watch the video to see what my comparison was and to see, which one is more preferable. But you can probably guess. So first, I'm going to go through the negative effects of taking Adderall, especially for hypersomnia. That's the only thing I'm an expert on. I don't have ADD or ADHD, so I can't speak. I can't speak for what Adderall does for those, but I can speak for what it does for narcolepsy, hypersomnia, excessive daytime sleepiness based disorders. Pardon me. When I first started taking Adderall, again, I've been on Adderall 20 years now. So that gives you a little bit of understanding of how much I understand the drug and then how my body reacts to it and how aware I am of that. So when I first started taking it, for the first up to 3 days, it's been as low as 1 before, but generally I count on 3. I feel a bit zombie-like, and not zombie-like like a antidepressant would make you feel, but more zombie-like you're just kind of disconnected. Like, you ever had a day where you were a little bit just maybe spacey, or you had like a lot on your mind, so you're kind of like more in your mind than you are pardon me, in like what's going on around you, whether you're at work or school, around your friends and your family. You're just kind of not 100% there. So that's something I feel the first 3 days I take Adderall. I do feel energetic, and more alert and things like that, but I get waves of disconnection, and I can only assume that that is because the Adderall is trying to counterbalance my body's I want to say natural circadian rhythm and sleep wake cycle. It's in my own body, because it's probably full of more neurotransmitters or chemicals that are keeping me awake, or I'm sorry, that are keeping me sleepy and groggy. It's almost like the two are fighting. The Adderall is fighting against my body, and that's what I kind of feel like in those moments. But so a little bit of zombie like for the first 3 days, but again, while it's building up in your system, and this is probably more pertinent to the sustained release, the XRs, because it's like it has to build up almost in your body. That's what I feel like, and then you have a certain level, and then it's more maintained. So another negative I'm going to throw out there, which is also positive, but there's a loss of appetite, and then along with that is weight loss. I I over my 20 years now know how to like talk myself into being hungry, or remind myself that I just took this medicine that makes me not as hungry, or makes me not hungry at all, so I need to eat something. I need to make sure that I'm getting the proper nutrients, because otherwise, you know, just taking the Adderall isn't gonna make you feel good. You still have to eat and sleep and do everything else normal. So with that again is potential for weight loss too. And there's probably times where early on when I was taking it, I wasn't eating as much, and lost some weight here or there. One thing I do notice is that because every month I take around a week or even up to 10 days off of Adderall, in that time period, generally my appetite increases as I'm trying to find some sort of other stimulus to increase wakefulness, and I will eat more at those times. So that's why I'm kind of adding it to this negative aspect here. Is that like well, it's also a negative for that reason, but well, let me move on. Okay. The next one would be dry mouth, or something like cotton mouth, which I actually have right now. I feel like my mouth is clicky in a sense, or it's drier, and chapped in a sense. But it's funny that your mouth goes dry, but Adderall can cause, and does cause for me, frequent urination. It can, not always, but there's times where I know when I'm taking it, and I know that I'm probably peeing excessively, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Hopefully at those times I'm also intaking more water, but I do notice an increase in urination frequency. There is an increased heart rate, and and also the potential for blood pressure. And honestly, there are times when I've taken Adderall that I can feel that my blood pressure is elevated, and not during an activity or something that would, justify like my heart rate and blood pressure being where they were. And at those times, I just remind myself to relax. I may change what I'm doing, change the scenery, take some deep breaths and try to calm down. Because again, you're taking a medication that is affecting your brain in a certain way, but it also has adverse effects on other things. So I try to be smart about that. And I try to talk myself through, those times, and it's never really been an issue. So, but that's something to be aware of for people that have history of heart attack or hypertension, high blood pressure, strokes, things like that. So, but I do feel those things on occasion, maybe once or twice a month, but not nothing out of like some extraordinary extraordinary whatever rate. So I feel that Adderall increases my phlegm or my mucus. I feel, again, I do smoke an e-cigarette, which also could and does contribute to that. But yeah, I feel like it increases my phlegm, and like my lungs are a little bit more full of fluid. And I don't know if that is a increase in histamine, and you know, histamine producing that fluid in my lungs or not. But I do notice that. Um, I feel, I know it's a part of hypersomnia as well, but I know it's also a part of taking drugs like amphetamines. You know, my immune system response is decreased. I feel Adderall may contribute to me having colds that last longer, or you know, sicknesses that are just lingering, or cuts that take longer to heal. I can't be 100% sure, but I know, you know, through reading that's, you know, it can lower your immune system response. Nothing to a degree where I feel scared, or it's nothing more than moderately annoying. I'll say that. Sweating definitely increases sweating, and there's times where I feel like I'm sweating so much. And granted, not like in a cold room, or not like you know, not when it's not reasonably hot out, but I feel like I'm probably sweating more than other people. And sometimes that is during or not during an activity. So I can just be sweating sometimes from Adderall, you know, and not like profusely all over my body, although that does happen sometimes if it is really hot or I'm doing an activity. But just things like my forehead will start to sweat, or you know, my palms will get a little bit sweaty. So just, you know, nothing horrible, just a little bit annoying. Insomnia. There's definitely been times where Adderall has caused insomnia for me, and what I said in another video, I generally only get insomnia maybe once or twice a year. Maybe elevate that to 5 because of Adderall. At those times, um, I you know, I ride it out. You know, I'll stay up and regulate the next day. A lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes when I restart my medicine in those first couple of days, as I'm getting used to the Adderall again, it can keep me up for almost the whole day. And then, you know, I'll recoup that sleep, but it is something to consider. And I know, you know, I know insomnia induced, you know, from Adderall has affected other people that I know. So there's times where I felt like I was too talkative. I just couldn't shut up, and part of that is just I know that's a reaction to the drug. You know, taking an amphetamine definitely, you know, with the increase in norepinephrine, dopamine, you become more alert, excited, engaging, talkative, things like that. So, but I also feel like when I do restart the Adderall every month, I'm so happy to be awake again, and I'm trying to make up for lost time, or now that my brain is actually, you know, alert and has a better memory and has a better cognition function overall. You know, I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time sometimes, so I get extra excited, you know, a little bit. Lastly, negative for full negative. I have a couple may cause negatives too, but constipation, and that fluctuates probably from month to month, and it's nothing outrageous, but I do notice maybe towards the end of my cycle of taking Adderall that I go less frequently, which is interesting because in the beginning of the month when I'm taking it, I go more frequently, and I feel like it inspires that, you know, bathroom time. But towards the end of the month, yeah, it can cause more constipation, and I'm assuming that's because it's salt based, and Because it's amphetamine, you're sweating more and using more body fluid, so it's constipating you in the sense that it's taking fluids away from you. That is the last negative. Actually, I'm gonna add one more negative that I didn't think about before, and that's just the stigma. Um, there's times where I have to tell people take Adderall or amphetamine, and it's like it's just like you're carrying around like a big, like, fully automatic rifle, and they're like, "Oh God, why would? Oh my God, that's terrible." And it's like, well, you don't know what it's like, you know. You don't know what it's like to not be able to wake up and to be tired all the time and stuff. So that stigma blows, and I hate having to deal with that. But again, you know what? It's better than being tired, so I do deal with it. But it's just a shame no one really gets it. Okay, so I had two more may cause negatives, and one that is definitely something to be alarmed of, and or is alarming and to be aware of, is that pardon me, dopamine in high, or I'm sorry, Adderall in high levels can cause damage to dopamine neurons, and that may be irreversible. And I don't from my reading, I couldn't find what a high level was, but I'm assuming that's going to differ from person to person based on their own brain chemistry, body weight, and body mass and things like that. But that's for it to potentially damage your dopamine neurons and make cause irreversible damage. That's pretty scary. That's almost like it's giving you Alzheimer's or something like that. And again, I don't feel that that's happening to me, but I don't know. So something would be pretty cool to get checked one day. So let's just go into the positives now. This is a really long video, by the way, but it's okay. First, alert, not tired at all. Resistant to sleep. I don't want to take a nap during the day. I'm able to wake up at 7 or 8 a.m. I don't feel like I just went to sleep. I feel very alert and up and ready for the day. That being said, I feel like Adderall helps regulate my circadian rhythm and makes it easier to wake up in the morning. So not only does it wake me up after I take it, but it also wakes me up before that, which is what happens to most people. Your brain starts releasing chemicals, cortisol, I think, in the last hour or something before, you wake up, to start to stress you out in a sense, to make you alert and to wake up and get ready for the day. I don't wake up really in the morning, unless, I'm taking my meds and they're able to regulate my rhythm and inspire me to wake up in the morning, basically. Increased energy overall, so I feel like I have the normal energy amount that anyone else does during the day. I don't feel like there's occasions where I feel like maybe Adderall is giving me a little bit extra energy or a spike in energy, but really what I feel like is just that I'm on the same level as everyone else. So it's not even like anything outrageous. With the increased energy is also an increase in stamina, I have noticed. So it's a little bit harder to tire when you're doing something, maybe like an intense physical activity, or also an intense mental activity. It's just, it gives you the increased stamina, and I feel like that's probably because I just don't have that stamina to begin with. Increased focus. So whatever task you're doing, or whatever thing you're looking at or analyzing or reading, or whatever your activity you're engaged in, your focus on that is like 100%. And that feels great for me, because a lot of time my focus is in the back of my head and listening to my own brain say, you need to go to sleep, you're so tired, you need to go to sleep. So when I'm able to actually focus all my attention onto something, it's wonderful. Improved reaction time is another one. So it's just almost like your reflexes are sharper because they're more alert and in tune to what's going on around you. I'm when I'm on my medicine, I'm more spatially aware. I'm more just physically aware of my surroundings and things around me and what's going on, time-wise too. Talkative, engaging, I put that on the negative list, but because that would be too talkative, but it helps me to get to the talkative level that I already want to be at, but don't have the energy to make that happen or facilitate that. So it helps be the engaging level that I want to be at. Inspired creativity, and I think that just goes along with the fact that you're awake and up and again in tune with what's happening around you. But again, I mentioned before, I write music and lyrics and things like that, or words and poems or whatever. So I do feel like my creativity goes up, not necessarily from the Adderall, but just from the fact that I'm now awake, which is it is an effect of the Adderall, but it's more about the fact that my brain is actually awake and at a normal level. Overall, just an overall general increase in motivation. Like I also said before, when I start taking my meds again, I remember, oh yeah, I wanted to fix that thing in the apartment, or I wanted to install those shelves, or something needed to be just done or reorganized. Those motivations then come out when I am taking Adderall, and they're able to supersede my hypersomnia, and I'm able to get things done that I normally wouldn't be able to. And then lastly, it's just general improvements in cognition, working memory, long-term memory, and attention. And I've kind of summed that up in all the positives I said here, just being more alert and more focused. So I'm going to end the video here. It's gone pretty long, over the 20-minute mark, but I just want to reiterate the fact that without Adderall, I couldn't be a normal member of society. And even with Adderall, I struggle still to be that, but it definitely gets me 10 steps closer, out of 20 or something like that. But yeah, so I would say, to sum it up, I do recommend taking Adderall for hypersomnia, at least in my own personal experience. Out of all the other medications I've tried, this has worked the best, and it's allowed me to continue to be myself mentally. It's not changing my psychology or my it's not changing the person who I was and making me into like a full zombie or numb to the world around me or anything like that. It just allows me to reach the potential of what my personality is, which unfortunately, because I'm so tired all the time, it's hard for me to be that. So, okay, well, that sums up Adderall. We're almost 2/3 of the way through, so that's pretty cool. I will see you tomorrow.